but it's a floppy paperback. The way that it will be written is quite beautiful and quite poetic, and I'm like, ooh, I think I know what's happening. Can you tell that I just really enjoyed that read? I was on the right track, but I was wrong. Caught me off guard in a good way. Hello everyone and welcome back to another reading vlog. We are doing our monthly 24-hour readathon today. I have the world's worst headache today, so this is going to be a really interesting 24-hour readathon. It might end up taking me longer than usual. I might read less books. I might have to, break it up a bit more, do a little bit more immersion reading, maybe some audiobooks, some things to change up so that I'm not in pain. But I'm very excited to jump in. If this is your first video of mine that you're seeing, you've not seen any of my 24-hour readathons before, you don't know how they work, let me tell you about it. We do these on my channel once a month. I will read for 24 hours over 2 days. So I'll read 12 hours on a Saturday, 12 hours on a Sunday. The time it gets paused to eat, to sleep, when I'm not reading, so that we're only recording 24 hours of active reading time. So times where I'm actually sitting and reading a book, not just, with the day passing and me like doom scrolling or something. So it's a little bit full on, but it's very, very fun because my favorite way to read a book is to binge it. I just find that I rate books higher when I can immerse myself in it and read it in 1 or 2 sittings. And also with my ADHD hyperfixations, I really struggle once I'm in something to like pull myself out of it. So it gives me the weekend where everyone knows to leave me alone because I'm doing my readathons and I'm reading, but it gives me the time and the freedom to be able to just sit and read books and consume them how I like to. So we only do these once a month because it is quite full on, but sometimes I do them twice a month when I have some free time. I'm hoping now that we're coming into more fall and winter seasons, I'm really manifesting like fall weather as soon as possible because it is way too hot here in Scotland. But usually the colder times of the year I'm inside more, and I don't like to make as many social plans, and I like to spend my days reading at home. So hopefully we can have some months where we're doing 2 of these, but for now, 1 has been sufficing and has been really great. So let's talk about what's on the TBR. If you watched my TBR jar video for the month of August, then you probably have already seen the books that we picked and that are on the TBR for the month. And I have been, I think the last couple of readathons, been using my readathons to tackle my physical TBR, and it's led me to completing my physical TBR every month. So we're going to continue with that. For physical books, we have these 3 here. So we obviously have A Dance of Lies by Brittany Arena, To Cage a Wild Bird by Brooke Fast, and Broken Souls and Bones by LJ Andrews. On the Kindle, we have A Tongue So Sweet and Deadly, and we also have The Poisoner by Ivy Ophelia. If I'm in the mood for a Kindle, we've got them, but we don't have any contemporary romance. We've got like gothic romance, fantasy romance, dystopian romance. That's about it. We don't really have any contemporary books. So on my physical TBR, I do have Collide. I have Real by Kennedy Ryan. I've got First Time Caller. I have Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. I'm really itching to pick up Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young because her new book is coming out in September, and I really want to read that, but I feel like I need to start working my way through her backlog and read the physical books of hers that I already have before I can pick that up. So we may mood read and swap one of these out for a contemporary romance because there are still so many days left in the month when I am filming this that I'm sure I'll be able to tackle all the books on my physical TBR. So this is like the main selection we're picking from, but we're also not afraid to choose something else. We're gonna mood read. So I think it's time to get myself my coffee, grab my iPad, get my headphones on listening to brown noise, and start this 24-hour readathon. So we're 2 hours in, just over halfway through the book. This is really good. It's coming out in the UK at least in November, so not too long to wait until the book will be released, and I would definitely, so far at least, having this book on your radar for when it comes out. It's already available for pre-order. I'm not sure when it's coming out in other parts of the world because publishing is different internationally. When I pulled this book in my TBR jar, I did see someone say that they don't like the fact that ARCs exist. Which, I mean, okay, arcs and proofs are very, very normal in publishing. Book creators and book influencers are not the first or even priority to get arcs of books, and you don't need to have any followers to get arcs of books or like early copies like this. But obviously publishers do send them out to people who read a lot of books, because part of my job is reading and reviewing books so that I could recommend books for people to buy. So I get early copies of books so that I can tell you guys it's worth it, like I definitely recommend pre-ordering it, or I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't rush to go and read it yourself. Like, this isn't a book for me. So then you know of books coming out before they're coming out and as they're coming out. But I'm pretty sure this book was available and still is available on NetGalley. NetGalley is somewhere that you can sign up to read ARC copies. ARC just means advanced reader copy. So you can read an advanced copy of a book and review it. That's it. NetGalley, you don't need to have any followers. You just need to review books on a public platform like Goodreads or Amazon. So you would get a copy of the book to read in exchange for an authentic review, whether it's 1 star, whether it's 5 stars, it doesn't matter. They just want authentic, real reviews of a book so that when the release comes, people can see reviews of this book and can look into it more. So have a look on NetGalley if you want to read this early. I have seen a lot of people reading it through NetGalley lately, but this was sent to me by the UK publisher, this ARC copy. Usually I would wait to read my ARCs the month that they release so I can talk about it as close to release as possible, but I have just seen so many booksellers, because booksellers usually get priority with ARCs and proofs. Like, I follow a lot of booksellers, so people who own bookstores, work in bookstores, sell books for a living. They get advanced copies of books so then they can stock them in stores and sell them and review them, right? It's common sense, you know, like that's the most logical thing, that publishers would want the people who can sell these books to read them first so that they can recommend them and then the book sells, you know? I follow a lot of booksellers on Instagram. I've got a lot of friends who work as booksellers and work in bookstores, and they've all raved about this book and rated it 5 stars and rated it really highly. So when we pulled my TBR jar prompt, this was the book that we picked, right? Because I had just heard so many things about it that I wanted to read it. I did. I wanted to read this. I had a copy of it, and it's dystopian. It is true dystopian vibes, but we're in a prison setting. So we're in a dystopian world, but the book is taking place in a prison. It does, from the blurb, give Prison Break vibes. So I'll read the blurb out to you so you know what I'm talking about. What it says: in Davidium, all crimes are punishable by life in prison, a prison that's a life sentence in more ways than one, where the wealthy can hunt the inmates for sport. Raven's mission is simple: infiltrate the infamous and deadly Enlock prison to save her brother. There's just one problem. Raven has a target on her back. Her reputation as the most ruthless bounty hunter in Davidium precedes her, and the inmates she sent to Enlock want their revenge. So when the prison guard she sworn to hate becomes her only chance of survival, Raven has no choice but to trust the one person she shouldn't. So many dystopian books get compared to Hunger Games, and it does have that dystopian feeling that the Hunger Games gives you, because obviously dystopian is a genre itself, so all dystopian books should give you that similar feeling. There's a lot of inequality and injustice. The last time I read a book that kind of gave me similar feelings was A Forbidden Alchemy by Stacey McEwen, because we do have a rebellion and people working to go against these dystopian rulers, but we're in a prison setting, so it's kind of giving like a Prison Break but also dark, more penitentiary, because they're in a prison. That's one of the things that comes into my mind when I think of like reading a book in a prison setting, but proper dystopian. And we do have a little bit of a subplot of a tingle of a romance happening as well. That's not the main plot. Like, the main plot is this breaking out of prison plot, and it's very, very fascinating because they're in a prison, which is already trying to escape a prison is an interesting plot point. There's a lot of high stakes, there's a lot of ways to get caught, there's a lot of, you know, fast-paced action, anticipation, you're on the edge of your seat, you're feeling anxiety reading some of the scenes because you don't want people to get caught and you also don't want people to die. Like, the stakes are very, very high. But then we have this element of this dystopian world where there's different class levels of people, and if you commit a crime and you get sent to this prison, you're not just trying to live your life out in this prison, you're being hunted for sport, and no one ever lasts in this prison for more than 1 to 2 years because they will die. There are hunts every day. There are 3 hunts a day where the general public can pay money to hunt you specifically. There will be draws for hunts, so they'll walk around, they'll see you in cages and choose you specifically to go and hunt, and then you're put into this arena where you have to try and make it to a certain spot without getting killed. And there's this really interesting, like, futuristic technology and engineering that's happened that make it feel more dystopian as well. It's very, very fascinating, and we're seeing things from many different point of views, many different backstories, and lots of different characters who have all ended up in the same place and how they got there. I am having so much fun with this. This was a great book to start this reading vlog off with, and I literally have just sat and read the first like 200 pages locked in, so I'm gonna sit and read the next 200 pages. I think this is going to be part of a series. I'm pretty sure it is. Most fantasy and dystopian books, they're always the first book in a series, so I'm thinking that this is not going to be any different, but I feel like this year has been the year of dystopian reads. So that's something that a lot of readers are wanting again in, you know, the fantasy and sci-fi genre, because even though they're not like fantasy, they're fantasy and sci-fi genre adjacent. There are not that many genres of books in publishing. It's quite like simplified. But To Cage a Wild Bird by Brooke Fast, yeah, maybe add it to your want to read list. Keep an eye out for it. Check out the author on Instagram. And if the book sounds interesting, I definitely recommend pre-ordering it because I'm having a lot of fun reading this. Done. Whoa. We have finished our first book. That was actually really good, and the ending was better than I thought it was going to be. Yeah, this is a good one. Wow. I actually need some time to like process my thoughts on this because that was such a, oh wow, I have no idea where we're gonna go in book 2, but there's most definitely going to be a book 2. That was really fun to read. That was so fast paced. Wow, I've not been this locked in with a book in a while, to be honest. That was so easy to fly through. Oh, really would recommend this. So that is book 1 done, To Cage a Wild Bird. Not too long until it comes out. And if you like dystopian books, dystopian romance, I would definitely recommend checking this one out and pre-ordering it. Now for book number 2, I need to take Cooper for a walk. I need to make some food and stuff. So I think that I might see which of the 2 physical books, because I want to read another physical book. So I'm going to see if either of the books are available as an audiobook that I can start listening to. Okay, so I've got both of them available as an audiobook, so I think that I'm gonna actually go with The Dance of Lies next, because I think I've had this one longer and I'm in the mood for this. This is also another like 400-page book, and it says, Vasily, once a dancer in King Ilian's court before he framed her for murder, is offered a deal. Become the king's spy at a month-long royal gathering and he'll grant her freedom. Enlisting the help of Ilian's brother and greatest adversary to help her survive at court. Vasily must decide who to trust, who to fight for, and how much of her soul she's willing to damn in the process. So it says, a lush, pacey enemies to lovers romantic fantasy filled with intrigue. I think we picked this with the TBR prompt of starting a new series, like the first book in a new series or something like that. So this is a proof copy that Bloomsbury sent me, but obviously the book is already out, came out in June. I also have a Fairy Loot edition of it, but I thought I will read my proof copy because I love when I get the big giant proof paperbacks because they're so floppy. I think they're closer to like a standard American paperback because our UK ones are smaller and very rigid, whereas these are all just like nice and floppy. I think these are some of my favorite paperbacks to read. It's a similar size to like the indie paperbacks for JLA books like Blood and Ash and Flesh and Fire series. I know that people are like, are you hardcover? Are you paperback? I'm American/proof paperback. I like the big ones. Does that make sense? Like this is almost the size of a hardcover. Just so fun to read. That's my favorite type of book. So we're gonna start our second book in the 24-hour readathon now, A Dance of Lies. Okay, so we're around 19 hours. No, we've got 19 hours left. We're not 19 hours in. Not yet. We're around 5 hours in, and I'm really enjoying this. The setup for this has been really interesting. I like the way she writes her books because the writing style for me, I enjoy it. Every now and again, she will say a phrase that's quite poetic. Like when she's describing how a character feels or what a character is doing, she'll every now and again, the way that it will be written is quite beautiful and quite poetic, and I'm like, ooh, I like that, but it's not overdone. It doesn't feel over the top or super flowery. And for me, it's just emphasizing the setting of the book and how magical the story feels, because with a high fantasy like this where you have kings and different lands and a court setting, I think the way that it's written is working well for me. So I'm enjoying that. Who I'm assuming the love interest is not what I was expecting, and the way that we're going with this story, I think I like it. I think I'm going to like it. It caught me off guard in a good way. And right off the bat, we're learning about our female main character who has this disability or chronic illness. And I looked up the author. I think she has POTS, MCAS, EDS, which my sister also has. So I know quite a lot about how debilitating that is. And it's nice to have some chronic ill representation in different forms with books. So if you are a reader who looks for books that have different types of disability disability or chronic representation in their main characters, then this is one, which I did not know going into it. It's great. I think, oh, where is it? The author put something on Instagram. I'm going to read it out because I think that it discusses or summarizes this way better than how I'm attempting to right now. One of the author's pinned posts says, Vasily, like many of us who are chronically ill, has no choice but to push through in certain situations in the book, and she pays for it dearly with pain and fatigue. That said, Vasily cannot dance the way she used to. That's made very clear in the beginning. Because of this, she finds a prop that allows her to simplify her choreography into dances that are more manageable, and meanwhile her props distract from the complexity of movement that she can no longer do. This is true for me too. I had to find a new way to do things. For A Dance of Lies, I was trying to make a point. Sometimes our illnesses and disabilities stop us from doing things we need to do or love to do. This is not a weakness, it's a fact we often face. But sometimes we have to do the thing, whether it's a demanding job to ensure we don't lose our healthcare benefits, taking care of loved ones or children, etc. And sometimes we have to get creative in how we accomplish such things. This has been true in my very own life. Vasily's situation is obviously more dire than my own, but I wrote her carefully in a way that was very true to my own experiences. The issue is that disabled/chronically ill people are very rarely believed. People decide for us what our disabilities and illnesses should look like, what we can and can't do, and so on. Help be part of that change. I think it's easy enough to write a character in a world like this and be like, oh, they have this disability rep, and then they make it completely unrealistic for other readers who are reading this, whose chronic illness or struggles present differently. But you can tell that the author has very carefully crafted our main female character in this way and is trying to keep it authentic while also still having, you know, the magic of it being in a fantasy sort of story, something that you can read and find inspiring and isn't too far-fetched for a fantasy story. Do you know what I mean? So far we've had a lot of the chronic illness representation and seeing how the main female character really struggles with her physical health and how that affects her in so many different ways. So I'm finding that quite interesting to read. I've taken Cooper for a walk. I'm about to have some food. I've had a shower, got into my pajamas, all comfy. I've jumped back and forth from the audiobook to the physical book, but I think I kind of want to do some illustrating now on my iPad. So I might sit and do some illustrating and put on the audiobook again, and then once I've done an hour or so of that, jump back into the physical book and then just keep reading the physical until we finish. But I'm currently really enjoying the story and I'm not in a rush to power through it like I usually am when I'm like, oh, I want to binge this book and I can't put it down. I want to continue staying in this story, but the setting is just like reading the book and listening to it, the high fantasy kingdom court setting is inspiring me right now, and I want to like do some fantasy illustrations. So that's what we're gonna do. I definitely think that I will finish this book before I go to sleep tonight, and we might potentially start a Kindle read afterwards. That might be fun. But so far I'm currently enjoying this read. Wait. Chapter 12. Where I thought this book was going has just 180 pivoted, and no, where I thought this book was going, the storyline and who I thought the MMC was going to be. And then I read the book and was like, oh no, it's not going that direction. No, it is. No, I don't know. I'm fascinated. I'm really liking where this is going. I'm currently doing my illustrations on my iPad while listening to the audiobook, and I just had to just listen to part of the chapter that made me start blushing, and then I was like, oh wait, I wasn't sure if I liked this character or didn't like them, and I think I like them. I think I do. And I'm getting really into the story now. But I just had to come on because in the last clip I was like, oh, it's not going where I thought it was going, and I'm liking this direction. I don't know where this is going at all. The book keeps surprising me, but I'm really enjoying it. Wow, yeah, I'm just gonna sit and continue because I'm having a great time right now. This is wonderful. This is the best evening ever. .5 stars. Guys, this was so good. I was not expecting to enjoy this as much as I did. I'm just surprised. I don't know if it's because I listened to half of this in the audiobook, but so much happened that I don't understand how we only read 400 and something pages. It felt like it was like 650 pages worth of content. So much happened from the beginning to the end, all the characters to the development, what actually happened. My brain is kind of like just spinning right now thinking about all of that. Now finishing it, I'm like, wow, it's so obvious the entire time, but while I was reading it, yeah, I really enjoyed this. I thought this was really, really fun. I can't wait to keep reading. That, honestly, I was so engrossed. The audiobook, by the way, so would recommend. Really, really good listen. Wow. Wait, we've had two really good high-rated books back to back. May it continue manifesting. For so much of it, I was like, is this technically fantasy? And then at the end I was like, yeah, it's fantasy. Yeah, I can't say what I want to say because I don't think it's a spoiler, but I think it's fun to read and figure out as you go because it's not in the blurb, it's not in the summary of the book, so I'm not going to tell you what that is. You can read and find out yourself. But oh my god, so much happens. So much happened in this. I really liked this. Wow. I did not expect to like this as much as I did, and the dancing was such a larger part of the story than I thought it was going to be, which is pleasant because typically a dance flies. You're like, oh, she's a dancer, there's going to be dancing in it, and then you read the book and then there's not really much dancing. There was a lot of dancing in this, and performances and theatrics. Oh, this was great. This was so fun. If you haven't read it, I definitely would recommend it. I think I've seen some like mixed reviews for it of people loving it and then some people just like not really vibing with it because they didn't like characters or storylines. But for me, I was thoroughly entertained. I was engaged. I liked the pacing of it. I feel like we got a lot of character development, and there was a point in the book where I was like, I don't know how we're gonna resolve this. I don't know how we're gonna get out of this situation. And then we did. But in such a, it wasn't like a, oh, that's completely obvious way. Like it wasn't. Some parts of the book I was like, I couldn't figure out as we saw who the love interest was. Could not figure that out. That was fun. That was really fun. I couldn't really figure out where the overall plot was going. That was also really fun. Great characters, great side characters. Can you tell that I just really enjoyed that read? I wish I had the second book already so I could just like continue reading because the way that it ends, oh my god, the way that it ends, I love it. That was so fun. Oh, this honestly makes me so happy. I love reading new books, new releases, books that are coming out and feeling excited because I feel like there's been so many new releases this year that have been okay or been good, but nothing to reach like god tier status for me. A lot of my 5 and 6 star reads of the last year have been older releases, and a lot of the new romancy and new fantasy romance books that come out, I'm like, they're fine, but I'm not like obsessed with them. And just reading good new releases like this makes me excited to think about the fact that my next favorite read is out there and I just haven't found it yet. And there are going to be so many authors publishing and writing new books and new stories that I get to fall in love with and read. And that's just so exciting because sometimes I'll read really good books and then other times I won't even have a single 5-star read in a month. And I honestly can't say that I've experienced a true reading slump in the last 18 months since I've been making reading content. I've been quite lucky in that sense. But the average books that I've read since March last year, I think it's been from like 16 to over 30, which is a crazy amount when you think about it. Like that's actually kind of a little bit insane. Like I don't know how I did that, and it's not stopped. So that's really exciting as someone who loves books and loves reading. This book has just reaffirmed and reestablished to me that there's so many books out there still for me to read and so many new favorite stories to discover, and just the idea of that and the possibility of that just makes me excited to continue reading. I think that's probably one of the nerdiest things I've ever said on my channel and I love it. Also, this has been sat on my TBR since before June, and now I'm looking at my TBR like how many other of my next favorite reads are just sat here on my physical TBR. Now I want to read everything. I want to read all the books at once. I also want to read more audiobooks. I want to illustrate more and draw more. I love reading, but it's also nice to do other creative things. Like I want to get back into having a physical sketchbook and working on that. I obviously have my book journal, I've got my illustrating. When I make time to do other hobbies and cozy crafts and stuff that I love, and I remember how much I enjoy it, and then I always think to myself, wow, I wish I made more time in my schedule out with just working to do things like this because it brings me so much joy and it makes me happy. So editing Emmy, future Emmy, if you're watching this, don't forget to make time for the hobbies and activities and things that you love, including reading. That's honestly how I've been getting into audiobooks and using audiobooks, is listening to them while doing these things, and that's probably one of my favorite activities to do, so I need to make more time to do it. Anyways, we're getting on such a big long tangent and rant after reading this book. I can't believe it's like almost midnight. I still have another 2 hours of reading that I want to do today. It's probably not going to happen. This is probably going to be a late 24-hour readathon for me. That's, yeah, going to be a long day tomorrow, but I'm going to start the Kindle read. So I'm probably going to read A Tongue So Sweet and Deadly next because I just have that on my Kindle and I feel like reading that. I have no idea what this book is about. as always. But so many fantasy romancy books have similar names, like A Tongue So Sweet and Deadly just reminds me of the names of half of the books I already have on my bookshelf. So with that logic, surely it'd be something that I'm gonna enjoy. But it says, half-fae Alessia could have had everything, literally, since her magic allowed her to compel anyone to do her bidding by merely looking into their eyes. The world was at her feet. But after a tragic accident and she is thrown into the Fae King's dungeons and forced to swear a blood oath to him binding her to his service, kinda sounds similar to this. 5 years later, she's living amongst humans in Elo and has created a life for herself. Okay, never mind. As much as she can with the king's promise to call in his debt looming over her. When he finally comes to collect, she is made to infiltrate the human elections to determine whether the current region is involved in the strange things happening in the lands of the Fae. With the promise of freedom from the king's claws, Alessia is determined to see it through. Liberty is within reach as long as she can keep lethal Fae guard watching over her from eliminating her before she unearths the information the king seeks. But as she grows closer to the brooding human region and secrets begin to unravel, Alessia realizes greater forces may be at play and she might stand before the choice between her own freedom and that of a nation. Okay, yeah, I'm excited. We're gonna hop into bed, honestly, and jump into this. So I'll probably catch up with you guys tomorrow once I've woken up and have started the timer again. So we're gonna just keep reading until I start to feel sleepy and fall asleep, and then read for the remaining hours that we have left on the clock. Okay guys, so today we have 13.5 hours of reading to do. So that means that we're going to be reading very late today, all day actually, in fact. And we have a few different books still that I want to read and get through. Now, the last check-in we did in the evening, I was starting our first Kindle book of this video, which is A Tongue So Sweet and Deadly. I'm on chapter 19, 25% of the way through. This is so fun to read. This is just typical romantasy, you know, with fae and half-fae. I love it. This is my bread and butter. These are the kind of books that I'm enjoying, but the plot and the premise of this, I have thoughts and ideas and theories of where I think this is gonna go and how it's gonna turn out and who the main characters of this story are and, you know, the game we're going through. It's also interesting because there are kind of an element of trials. It's different because in here we have an element of trials, but instead of typical trial deadly games, it's trials for people who have nominated themselves to be part of this election. So we have this political element. People can die. It gets competitive. You're not allowed to harm other nominees who have put themselves up for this election, but they do anyways. You know, like you're kind of making an enemy of yourself by entering these campaigns. It's a political campaign, but it's fascinating. I'm interested to see how that's going to play out and how big of a plot point that is, if it's just like something that happens in passing or if it's going to take up like a big chunk of this book. But that's a very interesting factor that I've not seen done in a fantasy book before, and it's very much keeping my attention because it's giving me the intrigue and the interest. We're dipping our toe in like the politics of this world and understanding how it works with the fae, the half-fae, the humans, this different king, this separate part of the world. Obviously our main female character has been freed from her situation, but she has this blood oath with the king that gave her her freedom, and she's working towards true freedom. So getting to know her and her situation and the cast of characters that she surrounds herself with, and then when the king comes to collect on this blood oath, she's put into a very interesting situation with new characters that she doesn't know, that we as the reader are also getting to know on top of, you know, the first 100 pages of world building and understanding. And there are a couple characters that I can't figure out and I can't crack, and I have an idea in my head of where I think we're going with this story, but I could be so wrong, but it also could be true. If we are going where I think we're going, I think I'm gonna love it. But if we aren't going where we think we're going, I'm still sat and intrigued because I don't know what's coming. Like, it's kind of throwing me off a little bit because the way the book description reads is quite typical for a romantasy, and there are elements in this that are quite typical of a standard romantasy, but it's being executed in a different way. And I'm enjoying that. We're gonna start the timer for the day, and then we're gonna continue and just read until the timer inevitably runs out. So I'm gonna sit with my headphones on. I've made a giant iced coffee right here. Yeah. And let's get into the book. 50% of the way through, I think I know what's happening. And I think I'm enjoying it. Like, I am enjoying it. I definitely am enjoying it. I don't need to think that I'm enjoying it because I am, but I'm enjoying it more than I thought I would. I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm having a great time with this. How many books are there in the series? Let's have a look. Because I'm kind of intrigued and interested to just read this and just this, like just read the series. Okay, so there's three books. The third book is coming out now. Cool. I'm so gonna binge this series. The magic in this is so interesting. I love elemental magic, guys. We know that I love elemental magic. And in here it says, the Fae descended from two bloodlines, the elementals who wield fire, water, wind, and earth, and then the mentals who wield the mind. Which one of Fae has an affinity for manifests when they become adolescents, although there aren't many mentals left, they're not too popular. So that's really interesting and fascinating. I love that type of magic, so I'm having a lot of fun. The chapters in this are quite short and we're moving quite quickly with a lot of different things happening, so there's a couple different mysteries and question marks right now that are going off in my head, and we're slowly starting to see the answers form and come together. And I just know the ending's gonna have a big plot twist or a cliffhanger in it because that's the direction we're going with this mystery. But how exciting. Having a lot of fun with this. I think I could fly through this series. Guys, 94% of the way in. This is crazy. This is crazy. Oh, I'm so nervous now. Guys, I have full body chills. It's finished. Guys, I think that was 5 stars. There was actually so much that happened towards the end. Everything that I thought was gonna happen, we were given something better. I was on the right track, but I was wrong in a good way. What I was thinking was way more predictable and pretty standard. This book just kept surprising me, kept pleasantly surprising me. I actually have chills underneath my hoodie right now. Goosebumps. That was crazy. I need to go download all the books. Oh, that is so good. Okay, book 2 is available to read now. I don't know how many books there are going to be in this series total. I know the third one is about to be released. What was that? That was so unexpected. That was really, really unexpected. Okay, book 2 is also around 450 pages. Oh, I really want to read book 2 right now. Should I read book 2 right now? Or should I save it for my Kindle read later? Yeah, I think I'll reward myself with book 2 and have that as a Kindle read because I will want to read. Sorry, this clip is so all over the place. A Goodreads said the book's coming out August 20th, which is the day that this video is supposed to be going live. But tell me why, I've just gone on to my Kindle Unlimited and it's already out. That was actually so fun. I'm afraid though that book 2 isn't going to live up to the hype of that first book, but that was just, yeah. I can't say what happened obviously because it's spoilers, but I don't think I've been that caught off guard with the book since I read Metal Singer, to be honest. And it's not in the same type of way. Like, don't go into this book thinking it's going to be like Metal Singer and you're thinking that you're trying to pick out a plot twist that's not coming, because it's different. It's so different. It's not like that, okay? But go into this and read it and enjoy it for what it is, because you think it's going to read like a typical fantasy romance. You think that it's got like the same tropes and the themes and the atmosphere and setting and these like trials and stuff, but it's different. We have the element of like the politics, where you're nominating yourself to be put forward for regent. And then we obviously have our main female character who's sworn to a blood oath with the king. It's so clever. It's so... wow. And the way at the end, earlier in one of my earlier clips, I'm sitting here and I'm talking about how we're waiting for all the pieces to come together and we can see stuff. They all came together at the end. I'm very satisfied with those answers and stuff, but my adrenaline is racing. I think I need to like sit and calm it down and relax and take a deep breath. I think I have to give that 5 star. The ending of that truly just, wow, that was great. Oh my gosh, what to read next? I have the LJ Andrews book. I also want to read Out on a Limb. I think that I can read both of those. And then my reward for reading my physical TBR will be continuing on with this series on my Kindle. But I am a little bit afraid to immediately jump into book 2 in case it doesn't live right up to the hype of book 1. And also my Kindle needs to charge. I have not charged it in like 3 weeks. So I'm gonna go put my Kindle on charge and we're gonna pick up a physical book again. I might go and sit in a different room. I'm starting to feel sleepy. I might make a coffee, stretch my legs and begin the next book, whichever one I decide to read. We might jump straight into the LJ Andrews one and then we can have a romance palette cleanser before we jump back into this series, because I will be continuing that series. That is incredible. That was so good. That genuinely, when you read as many fantasy romance books as I do, they all kind of can start to blend together with the themes and the tropes and the plot points. That stands out to me. That was good. I really like that. I very much like that. What a great 24-hour readathon. What an incredible 24-hour readathon. Oh, we've had like 4, 4.5, 5-star reads. This is great. This is wonderful. We have picked an incredible TBR this month, guys. So we're around 30 pages in and I'm realizing that I don't actually know what the story is about. So we're gonna read the blurb together. So it says, together they'll restore a broken kingdom or burn it to the ground. In a kingdom long divided, Lyria intends to live a quiet life to avoid the attention of magic-obsessed King Demir. Until Rourke Ashwood, the monarch's silent but irresistibly handsome soldier, invades her village and uncovers Lyra's secret, that she is Imelda. Gifted in the 3 magical crafts, bone, blood, and soul, Imelda is highly sought after, but there is a price. Their magic is also the seed of their destruction. Forced to reveal her ability, Lyra is immediately claimed by Rourke for the king to be his next Melda. Now the captive of this brooding soldier, she must find a way to escape, but could Rourke himself be the key to her freedom? What neither of them realizes is that a dangerous truth lies beneath everything. Together they will have to choose to stand against all they know or face a darker destiny. And that's very fascinating to me because right now I don't know what's going on. I mean, we're only 30 pages in, so we've got a lot of setting up. The world building right now is very atmospheric. A lot of terminology and phrases that I have not heard before and I don't know what they are, but are obviously going to be important parts of the world, the magic, the storyline. So I'm just kind of letting the story take me where we need to go. But the first chapter we did get was in the point of view of our main male character, which I thought was interesting and a little bit different, but I think it's going to be very easy to fly through. So we're just going to continue reading and see where the storyline takes us. Around 100 pages in, very interesting. All the chapters so far have been in our female main character's point of view with her name at the top, so I'm assuming that there eventually will be some more chapters in the MMCs. He is silent, and it says that in the book description, but he doesn't talk. Cannot talk, he doesn't talk. He communicates with hand gestures. That's been something really interesting in this point, and also I guess something else if you're looking for more diversity in the type of characters. We have a character who does not vocally communicate, so I thought that I would share that, but enjoying it. So I have less than 100 pages to go, so it's been quite a while since I updated. A couple hours, we've read a couple hundred pages, and I haven't updated because I don't really have anything to say. And I should. I don't know if it's because the last read was such a highly rated and enjoyable read for me that this is falling short in comparison, or if this book, if I read it at a different time, if I'd feel any different about it. To me, at the start, like I was saying, we were kind of just thrown in with a bunch of words and terminology and, you know, the world building. But the world building, there wasn't really that much. We were just kind of having a lot of random words thrown at us. And it's definitely like a Viking, Scandinavian inspired story. But I wish we had a little bit more world building done at the start to actually understand what these terms mean, who these people are, the importance of certain characters, or just the way of life there, because we are fed bits of information of bits and pieces, but I'm finding they're coming a little bit too late to make a true impact on how I'm feeling about the story and the characters. So I'm enjoying the read while I'm reading it, but I don't find myself connecting to or really caring about the characters, and it is reading not similar to other books that I have read, but in terms of like character dynamics and found family and stuff, nothing new. I had a few people tell me that they loved this book and it was a 5-star read and they had a great time with that, and I can definitely see why you could go into this and have that experience. I definitely don't think that my thoughts and opinions on this book so far should put you off adding it to your TBR or picking it up, especially if you do like more of a Scandinavian or Viking inspired fantasy story, because I don't think there are too many of them, to be honest. I mean, compared to other typical high fantasy stories. So it's always fun to come across one because it does make the read a little bit different compared to all the other fantasy romances or romances that I read. However, I'm just not obsessed with this one. I'm not loving it. I will continue reading. It's an enjoyable read in the moment, but I don't think it's going to make a lasting impression or stay with me. I don't think it's going to be a 5-star read. I think that's pretty easy to say that it's definitely not going to be a 5-star read. But it's also not an unpleasant or not an enjoyable read. It's alright. And this is my first book by L.J. Andrews, and that's also not putting me off her other books because they have been rated so highly. So maybe as well in the back of my head I have this preconceived notion that I'm going to be wowed by her books and her stories. So maybe I'm subconsciously holding it to a higher standard than I would. I still have some of her other books on my 25 books I want to read in 2025, and if anything I now feel like I'm prepared to go and pick up her other stories, and hopefully I love them even more. But this one, I don't know, this is my second or third Viking inspired fantasy story that I've read. Every one I've read I've enjoyed, but they've not been like a favourite or a top recommendation. So it could also just be that this subgenre of fantasy romance and romancy isn't my favourite apparently for some reason. I'm just not obsessed with it. But again, we are in the last like 100 pages of the fantasy story, and this is where things start to go crazy. So I can't wait to keep reading and see how it's going to end, because usually the endings of books are my favourite because it's when the most interesting things happen. So let's just sit and finish this book off now. Done. Okay. That's the wrong way around. Finished it. I don't think my thoughts have really changed that much. A lot did happen towards the end. There was a lot of plot reveals and plot twists as expected. I did find the big one predictable. Like I did think that from earlier on, so that didn't really catch me off guard, but still an enjoyable read. I'm gonna settle on like a 3-star read because that just feels right. It wasn't my favourite. It wasn't bad. It was good. So that was book number 4, read and done. I honestly, I don't really have too many thoughts about this. I don't think I will think too much about this now that it's finished. And I'm honestly not sure if I will be rushing to continue this series. Maybe. I'm not going to be in like a huge rush. I think now though I definitely need a palate cleanser read, so I think I'm going to pick up a romance from the TBR cart. I'm probably going to read Out on a Limb because that's been on there forever, like so long. So we'll probably read that. And we have just under 6 hours left of the timer, so we'll definitely be able to read this next book and then start another book. So I think I'll try and read Out on a Limb now and then swap over to the Kindle book and read the Kindle in bed for whatever the remaining time is. But I'm excited to read a romance now, so I'm gonna put this book down and pick up the romance. So all I know about Out on a Limb is I believe we've got 2 characters who, do they have like a one-night stand, they meet at a party or something, and then they have an unexpected pregnancy, and both of our characters have limb differences. I believe the FMC has the same limb difference as the author of this book. So we're reading quite a few books in this video that have a lot of different types of representation physically, mentally, which we always love to see. The blurb on the back of the book says, a hot one-night stand and an unexpected pregnancy leads a young woman to someone she can depend on. From the viral TikTok author of Next of Kin and Next to You. Wynn has always been wildly independent and not one to be coddled for her limb difference. Wynn has spent most of her life trying to prove that she can do it all on her own. With some minor adjustments, she's done just fine. Hooking up at a costume party with the incredibly charming Beau changes everything. Wynn finds herself pregnant and decides to keep the baby, while Beau is surprisingly elated to step up to the plate. Wynn is unsure whether she can handle this new challenge. Together, Wynn and Beau decide to get to know one another as just friends and nothing more while they embark on this parenting journey together. But as they both should know by now, life rarely goes according to plan. And I do have quite high expectations for this read because so many people rave about it. This is my first Hannah Bonham Young book, and I'm very, very excited about this because I think, as I mentioned earlier, she has a new release coming out that I'm also super intrigued to read, but I feel like I need to read the books of hers that I have on my physical TBR and maybe some of her backlog before reading the next one. So in the mood to finally pick this up, which I know some people are going to be happy about because I've had this on my TBR cart for so long. Really getting through the physical TBR in this video. Now it's just time to jump straight in because the timer is going. Why am I sat on my phone here? I need to be reading. It's actually starting to become a problem. I need to go back to putting my phone in a separate room because I'll go on to take a photo or a clip, because I've also started filming mini TikTok reel versions of my like readathons. So while I'm filming, I'm also trying to get some clips on my phone, and then I'll end up just doom scrolling, and then I'll be like, hang on, it's 15 minutes and I should have taken 30 seconds to do one thing and I haven't even done that thing. Maybe we need to do a video where I can get off my phone and reduce screen time, lock my phone away or something, and get back to a better balance of that. But anyways, that's just too much yapping. We're supposed to be reading. Okay, so we're 60 pages in. This is so easy to read and so funny. Oh, Hannah and Young, she is very, very funny. Like right at the start, when the characters meet, the female main character says, he's got that tousled 90s boy band middle parted hair that's suddenly back in style. It's dark blonde, which I can choose to forgive. It's witty, it's funny. I can tell that her sense of humor in the way she writes is going to make me laugh and then equally rip my heart out of my chest. That's really, really fun. First 50 pages start with a bang, literally. And now we're in it. Now the story's begun. Yeah, I'm gonna fly through this. This is so easy to read. And it's just been sat on my TBR. You guys told me that I would like this book. Once again, I don't know what it is. As soon as I buy a book, if I just don't read it straight away, I then get the fear to pick it up, you know? And the longer it goes, the less likely I am to pick it up, which is why I try to keep my physical TBR as small as possible. And every time I read a book of my physical TBR, I'm like, of course it was good. We're already over halfway through Out on a Limb. I love this. I have gotten teary a little bit at a scene or two, and it's funny, and the banter between them. I've read another book that had a pregnancy trope, Ready or Not by Cara Stone, and it's kind of similar but also not. Like, they're both completely different books with completely different situations and love interests and stuff. But that was also a book where a main female character unexpectedly got pregnant with someone that she wasn't in a relationship with and was trying to navigate getting pregnant. A lot about being pregnant and hormones and feelings and symptoms and making situations work, and a lot of communication with other characters and a lot of thoughts. And we also have a lot of that in this, but this is a really beautiful book and a really beautiful story. I just want to like give all the characters a hug. Great time. I'm gonna fly through this, I am, but I can't believe we're already like halfway through the book, and I feel like we have so much more that needs to happen before the book ends. I'm interested to see how and where it goes and what's still to come. I am enjoying the pace. It is entertaining, and I feel like it's a good pace for what we need to address and topics and conversations, and to see these characters grow with each other and also individually. But I also thought that we'd be further along into the pregnancy at this point or with things, so I'm intrigued to see how the second half goes and also where this book will end, because I don't really know where we're going to end with that. But I'm currently like, it's kind of hard to talk about this book because so much is just going through the motions and the different stages of pregnancy in different weeks. So each chapter will be like, chapter 18 says 16 weeks pregnant, and then underneath in every chapter, when she's pregnant, we find out the size of the baby. So 16 weeks pregnant, baby is the size of an avocado. It doesn't happen for every single chapter. It happens when there's a bit of a time jump for like each week. So chapter 13 was 15 weeks pregnant, baby is the size of an apple. And that's our indicator of time and time jumping, and well, not even time jumping, but we'll have a couple chapters in 1 week, but the chapters are short. That's how we are establishing the fact that we're moving forward, or at what point in the period, and also the friendship we are in. But I love Win and I love Bo. Like, both of the characters, they're very, very likable characters, and I think that they balance each other out really well, and I like that we've got this friendship between them. I know a lot of people don't like friends to lovers, but this was sort of one night stand to friends to hopefully going to be lovers at the end of the book. But I think what they both need right now is each other as a friend. They both have a lot of things that they need to work through individually, and it's really beautiful to see how the author can write such emotional and also difficult topics to bring up and address. I would definitely check the trigger warnings with this, because a lot of things to do with mental health, previous relationships, illness, parental issues. They're both kind of in two completely different, I was gonna say stages in their life, but not really, but different scenarios. They have completely different situations before they're pulled together by this situation. It's just really lovely to see how they treat each other and how they help each other and communicate. It's really, really nice. So I'm going to dive back into this book. We're going to read the remaining 200 pages, and then I'm definitely going to be crawling into bed with the Kindle book afterwards. So that's the plan. We finished the book. I am so tired, very overstimulated. It's cold, the hood is up, my hair is in a claw clip now. It's just too much, but we read this book. I loved this. 4.5 stars. Beautiful. Actually really enjoyed this way more than I thought that I would. I knew it was a very beloved book by many, and it has been highly rated and recommended, which is why I picked it up in the first place. But I don't know why, I just had it sat on my TBR. It was one of those books I picked up knowing I probably would enjoy, I just never got around to it. So I don't know why I'm surprised that I loved it as much as I did, but all my earlier thoughts still stand. And we did manage to kind of get through everything that I thought we needed to for the book to wrap up and resolve. I really like how the book ended and the timeline of that, because it really just reaffirmed the fact that we are truly focusing on the couple in this book and their story, rather than the fact that it's a book about pregnancy, because obviously not everyone likes to read about pregnancy or about children. And while the events that are happening is a pregnancy, that's a big part of the story, we are mainly just following the couple and the two of them together and their dynamic. Very, very charming characters. I think I'll be thinking about this a lot. This was such a really funny but also emotional read. The author did an incredible job of writing more sensitive topics, but in a light-hearted way, but it didn't take away from the fact that we were having some hard conversations, or that the things that characters were going through were hard. Friendships in this story and the human connection was honestly really beautiful. Really liked this, so I can't wait to add this to my bookshelf and go and pick up some of her other books now that I know I love her writing style. So that was great. I have 2 hours and 15 minutes left on the timer to finish, and I am so tired. I think I'm gonna hop into bed. I've been trying to wait off as long as possible to read the last book or a book in bed, because I do it every time I film a readathon. I will hop into bed and then I will be like, yeah, I'll read for a few hours, and then I fall asleep. And we can't do that because we need to finish the timer. So now that there's only 2 hours left, I think I will probably hop into bed and start the 5th and final book in this video, which is A Promise So Bold and Broken. It's the second book in the Compelling Fate saga. So we obviously read the first book, which was A Tongue So Sweet and Deadly, and I loved it. And I still haven't stopped thinking about it. So I did download all 3 books on my Kindle, and we are going to read the second one. We won't finish it because we only have 2 hours left, but we will see how far into the story we can get. And I am really nervous because I did love the first book so much that I'm just going into this expecting to not love book 2 as much as I love book 1, because I think part of why I loved book 1 so much was because it caught me off guard and I was surprised by it, and it was like a hidden gem, and I really love that. So now that I have expectations, I'm a bit worried. I'm a bit nervous, guys, I can't lie. But this video is already so long as it is, so you don't need me to sit here and yap about how nervous I am to read the book. We're here to just watch me read it. So we're gonna hop into bed and enjoy some cozy Kindle time. That's what we're gonna do. 1 hour to go. Over 100 pages we've read. We're almost like 30%. I'm really enjoying this. I was so nervous that I was gonna just compare it to book 1 or pick this up and be like, oh, it's not as good, but I'm really liking this, guys. I think this is gonna be my new hyperfixation favorite fantasy romance series. I've read so many good fantasy romance books lately. I've read some really good ones in this vlog alone, but the last couple of months I've read so many new releases or like first book in a series, and the rest of the books aren't out yet. And I think it's been quite a while where I've not picked up like an OG book series or universe like the Shadowhunters world, where there's more than 2 books out that I can binge and really sink my teeth into and let consume my life and my interests. And I'm glad that I'm reading this second book in the same day as when I finished the first book, and I will be finishing obviously book 2 out with this video and reading book 3 next, guarantee. So I'll definitely be talking about them over on like TikTok and Instagram, my full thoughts, and also in like my reading wrap up to come at the end of the month. But it's just nice to find a fantasy romance series and just be obsessed with it. That's my favourite thing. That's one thing I've missed, like some really, really good, highly anticipated and new releases this year, and some great books that I've read again, but nothing hits quite like finding a whole series to consume yourself with. And I'm trusting this author and the journey they're going to take me on, because so far they've not let me down. The ending of book 1 and the setting up of the story there, I feel like we're not even scratching the surface of what's to come in book 2 and book 3 and potentially book 4, because I did see that the author say it was a 4-book series and book 4 will be coming out December this year, so it will be a completed series this year of 4 books, and all the books are under 500 pages. That's magic. I love it. I love it so much. So I am having a great time. I am so sleepy. My eyes are already struggling to stay awake, but we're gonna power through. Got 1 hour left and then I'm gonna sleep so hard. I'm gonna have the best sleep of my life. Guys, we did it. We've reached the end of this video. I am just under 50% of the way through this book. I am going to continue this read tomorrow and finish it. But my thoughts haven't really changed in the last clip or so from updating. But we've made it. We've made it all the way to the end of this video. I'm gonna sleep now. I cannot wait to get a good sleep. I feel like it's well deserved after this weekend, but so fun. I love when I have a free weekend to read. We read so many books. We read almost 6 whole books. We read 5.5 books, and 4 of them were on my physical TBR, or 3. 4 of them were on my physical TBR. So again, another successful 24 hours of reading a physical TBR. I think I have 1 book left on my TBR for the month to read, I believe. So we'll see if I can read that between now and the end of the month. And I think this has been one of the longer 24-hour readathon videos that I have filmed. I'm pretty sure this video is going to be near an hour long, so I am so sorry for yapping so much with you today. But if you've made it all the way to the end of this video, comment below a heart emoji. You are a real one. I'm probably going to continue to have the best reading week ever, because this was such a good and very, very successful readathon. I think this could be one of the most successful reading vlogs that we've had to date in terms of ratings for the books and just the types of books that we're picking. But once again, I think I know my book taste so well at this point that I kind of know what books I will and won't like and want to pick up. So it's more of the occasional 2-star, 1-star read. You know, had a lot of good 4 and 5-star reads in this video, which is amazing. That means we've definitely had more than 1 5-star read this month, which is great. Some months we don't even have a 5-star read. But anyways, thank you so much again for watching this video, and I will see you guys in the next reading vlog, which is coming very soon. Bye.